ashamed of yourself. I literally just got through a mental breakdown, bawling my eyes out because of you. But to the one that sent my uncle that video, you got a problem. And we need to talk.
I thought I would start this video out with a tried and true classic that all the kiddies could enjoy. And, you know, I haven't talked about Nova in a while, and it's typically because I don't really want to beat a dead horse. And if he's not doing anything, I don't want to talk about nothing. And I've been sitting on him, having a bug crawl on him for like a month, essentially, or several weeks at this point, and he just hasn't been doing anything. He's basically completely abandoned his YouTube channel. He hasn't posted anything over there in over a month, period. He hasn't streamed in over a month. He hasn't posted a video in 2 months. I mean, it's just abandoned at this point. Now we're stuck with him basically having other people fill in some subplots that we can look at. Other people have been noticing him in public and taking some videos of him, and there's some miscellaneous loose ends of clips that maybe I didn't see in time for a previous video or came slightly after and didn't really have a nice place to fit in. So this will be sort of a hodgepodge of a lot of things that he has been doing within the past month, and we'll examine it the best we can. So if you remember in some of my previous videos, people have been showing up to Nova's house, and, you know, he's had gallons of milk sent to his house. He's had people just taking videos of him like Sasquatch or Bigfoot walking through the woods. And now we have an actual reputable person who is looking to go door to door, house to house, to mow some lawns, and he stumbled upon the trailer beauty of Nova Online's house.
We're starting around looking at yards and seeing if anyone needs any free services or anything. See if you need your wood yard done.
Well, I am having trouble with, like, the weeds and everything.
Like, kind of all the backyard and all this?
Yeah, but my mom says we don't really need any help.
Oh, okay. Alright. Sounds good.
Alright, thank you. Can I get a fried chicken soup, please?
And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of...
In that last clip there, he sort of looks like a wounded horse being taken out to pasture. One last graze for the good old boy before his days come to an end. And I don't know where he was during that clip or when exactly that happened, but it seems like he's been wearing that outfit much more frequently, or maybe just those red shorts are really sticking in my head, because I feel like that's the perfect embodiment of how I envision Nova in my head, which is a very scary thought. It sort of plays into all these people within the past, I don't know, half a year essentially, have been going up and taking pictures with Nova, and like, I don't know, everybody's already on board on that, where like, yeah, you shouldn't be feeding into his ego, you shouldn't be taking pictures with him. Also, like, I don't know why you would want to. He's known for being the diaper-wearing Discord predator, and it's like, yeah, buddy, look, I can show this to my other middle school friends, and we can all have a chuckle. Or maybe saturated content will pull up your clip, and we'll have a good laugh at that. But basically, you know, he hasn't been going out doing a whole lot. Obviously, he can't even apparently take care of his own lawn. All he's doing is eating and doing cameos, and I don't even know if he's keeping up with his Nova Cord eBay store, Etsy shop, blah 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 thing where he makes bracelets and whatever. I haven't seen an update about that recently. Instead, it seems like he, and along with a lot of other estranged people, flock to Cameo in order to make some cashola, and Nova is no different. And this time, somebody asked him to do the fantasy football draft order for them, and he gets a nice little friendly surprise that comes crawling right across his arm.
In your draft. So, here's the order. Austin, Caden, Jay, Colin, Dex, Grandma, Lucas, Tate, Jackson, and Aiden. If I missed any names, y'all unfortunately are last. I just wanted to shout out your league. Good luck. Thank you for being fans. That's actually a shadow on the door. That just kind of looks dirty. What time is it for me? It is 5:49 a.m. I wanna reach out and grab you.
include some little extra clips at the end there to really exemplify the filth and squalor that Nova has been residing within. You know, obviously his mother has issues with that as well, and all of us are just begging on our hands and knees for him to return to doing house cleaning videos, because they're by far the most entertaining and funny videos that he actually does. Instead, we'll just see him cope and seethe and say that the very obvious dirty smudge marks all over the handle and the door. Like, I literally don't even know how that's possible, because I, for one, have lived many different places, and I, for one, don't recall getting so much dirt and smudge around where the handle is that I physically need to wipe it down. I don't know how that's possible, and we're seeing bugs crawl out of his armpit, so maybe there's an explanation there. If you're showering more than once a year, you're beating Nova by a long shot. You're just absolutely crushing him at that point, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, he talks all this game all this time about, oh, I want to try and turn my life around and be healthy and blah, 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 blah. Yet he'll never comment on, and literally the top comment all the time for all of his posts are, man, I really wish you would either A, open up Indeed and send out some job applications, or B, do a review of shampoo and conditioner. And he never talks about it. He avoids that one like the plague. And you just know that the scent that is coming off of him probably is pretty similar to the plague, because he's also reverted back to doing these food review things, and that's what he's really been focusing on, is just gorging himself, eating as much food as possible, reviewing things that people have probably had at some point throughout their lives. This is not some new experience for him, and he's gonna just gloviate over it, just talk about how euphoric all of this experience is.
I've heard mixed opinions about Five Guys. People say Five Guys is so good and worth the price, while others say it's okay, but it is not worth the price. Let's find out which opinion is right, in my opinion. Fries are so seasoned. It's a bad day to be a burger. Oh, I got a patty melt all the way. And look at this. This thing is dripping in juices.
Just like absolutely revolting. I don't know who this appeals to. Obviously, it appeals to everybody saying, wow, look at him go. Nobody's actually sitting there saying, Five Guys, never had it before. Maybe I should reconsider. And it's really giving me the vibes. If you've ever seen the movie Dodgeball, and you have White Goodman, he's trying to tempt himself to eat pizza or eat donuts throughout the movie, and he's, putting nipple clamps on, and he's electrocuting himself and stuff. That's the vibe I get whenever Nova is just, ooh, it's so juicy. Ooh, who's a bad boy? Ooh, who wants to eat that bad thing? The difference is he doesn't have any self-control. So instead of getting any ramification, because even in the past, I know people that have tried to lose weight in a good way, that they fight off their cravings is to watch somebody else do a food challenge or something like that. Maybe that's somebody out there watching Nova. Maybe somebody out there is actually seeing this and like, damn, time to go to the gym. So I guess you could, find a bright side on that. And Nova, believe it or not, reviewed this Five Guys meal months ago. And he's just been sitting on it. Just a classic food review. And we gotta save it for the fans, because this is a prime Wagyu steak quality meal right here. And don't worry, he'll give his thoughts 2 months later after eating the food.
Hey, let's feature me. I saw this house a month and a half ago, and I forgot to share my opinion on it. I do think Five Guys is good and okay every once in a while. It's just not my go-to. So, is Five Guys really just...
Kiefer.
We keep it real clean, Louis 14 and some methamphetamine. You like to fight, and I like to smoke. It's gonna be alright. With the back of my bros and I heat from the midnight pipe. You like my style, I like your tongue. Ooh, loving that pretty mouth, baby. Talking that shit gonna make me come. You wanna bite, I wanna be. Crop top, nipple ring, leopard, dong, and weave. Touching on yourself, cold finger. Rub it on my teeth, let the taste just linger. Call your man, I know that he clean. Tell him not to leave without the ketamine. Gone up in freeway, naughty. Coconut oil dripping off of his body.
Every time I come around here, there's always something fucking crazy. It's nonstop. And you know what? I hope you're having fun. I hope you're having fucking fun!
You like to drink, and I like to drug. Keep it real clean, Louis 14 and some methamphetamine. You like to fight, and I like to smoke. It's gonna be alright. With the back of my bros and I heat from the midnight pipe. Put a little ice in the bong, Molly on top, Valley on Moxie, coat on. Wanna make a porno flick, sucking on my dick, spit it back in my mouth real sick. Shaking that ass like a queen, drop that bomb like a tab of LSD. Mama wanna take that phone, opium king, but to make you scream and moan. I like to drink, I like to drug, keep it real clean, Louis 14 and some methamphetamine. I like to fight, I like to smoke. It's gonna be alright. With the back of my bros and I hit from the midnight pipe.
Was in full effect, conducting memory and set for some. Were you in the gifted and talented program as a child? Some people called it GATE, some people called it GT. There's actually a lot of different names depending on where you live in America. But do you remember being selected in elementary or middle school for some sort of accelerated learning program and being taken out of class and brought into other rooms with a smaller group of children? And do you have an extremely hard time remembering that? And if that's the case, please listen to what I have to say, because I had a flood of memories come back to me after overhearing another person talk about this colored string test where we had to undo this tangled up colorful string. And through that and talking about it last night in another video, I have been flooded with comments and people reaching out to me, telling me their stories and sharing other things that have unlocked even more memories for me. So we're going to go down the list of things that I wrote down and see if this unlocks any more memories for you. Obviously the first one is the tangled up colorful string where we had to undo it. Some people said it was on like a board. Other people had to do it mentally. And some people were just given this wad of colorful kind of yarn stuff and had to untangle it to the best of their ability. A lot of people remembered flashcards or memory games or speed reading. Actually, a big one for me was these tangrams, these weird little colorful shape block things. As soon as I saw a photo of that, because I saw a lot of people in the comments referencing it, I didn't know what it was, and I Googled a photo of it, and dear God, did I have a flashback of just tangram things. Another super popular one with these tangram things. Another super popular one is the auditory testing with these weird countless hours of having to do tests and games with these tangram things. Another super popular one is the auditory testing with these weird retro headphones, these like big gray greenish headphones. Some people reported them being connected to this like weird briefcase thing, and I specifically remember having to listen to these weird frequencies, these weird tones, and being tested on what I heard in the tones. And then another person mentioned having to listen to the story being played to them through these headphones. And there was this little clicker device, and you'd have to click a button every time you heard certain words or certain elements of a story. Very vivid memories from that. Continuing with our retro technology theme, do you remember having to use super old computers and having to play weird games and do weird tests? And I feel like even one of them was Oregon Trail. I remember something along those lines. That was a huge part of this GATE program curriculum. Another very common one for people was having to build things out of random objects like toothpicks, popsicle sticks. For me, I specifically remember having to make things out of construction paper. One that I saw a couple of people mention but really struck home with me in a deep level that makes me feel uncomfortable. Do you remember having to wear weirdly colored or tinted glasses of some sort? Like, I'm talking about like the old 3D movie glasses. That, I don't know why, feels so familiar to me. Now we're gonna start getting even weirder. Do you guys remember having to go to very small, weird rooms where the windows were completely covered up, or there were no windows at all, or being completely removed from school, taken off campus? I distinctly remember doing a lot of this program in a trailer with the windows covered up, which, as you can imagine, is not exactly very comforting. And speaking of being taken off campus, off school grounds, do you remember weird field trips, having to go very, very long distances, being taken to weird things? People reported being taken to local businesses and talking with some of the heads of companies. Some people report going to military bases, or very oddly specific aquariums and planetariums. Now, for me, planetariums definitely struck a chord. And last but not least, do you remember having to drink some sort of weird liquid out of a little Dixie cup? I'm talking about reddish, pinkish, purplish. People describe it as different colors, but I distinctly remember having the experience of having to drink this weird liquid out of a cup. Some people reported having to take these tabs, and a lot of people report thinking that it was some sort of dental test or some sort of fluoride test. That may be the case. I don't know. I am just trying to explore all of these different experiences because of the fact that we have no memories. We have no distinct chronological idea of what actually happened to us in these accelerated, gifted classes. We're going to go through a little experiment together. Over the last couple of nights, I put a few videos out trying to help people remember exactly what the activities were in those programs, and shockingly, thousands of people have reached out through comments and DMs saying that yes, they now remember upon hearing my video those activities. So I've put together a list of weird character traits that most people in the GATE program, gifted, talented, tag, whatever you want to call it, most people have a few of these traits. Not all of them, not saying that you will have every single one on this list, but I am very curious to know how many of you have most of these. First one is a prominent occipital bun, which is a weird bump in the back of your head. Next is heterochromia, which is a very specific eye characteristic, which I'll put up a photo so you know what I'm talking about. Most people are being male and the firstborn sibling. I'll put up a photo so you know what I'm talking. That you will have every single one on this list, but I am very curious to know how many of you have most of these. First one is a prominent occipital bun, which is a weird bump in the back of your head. Next is heterochromia, which is a very specific eye characteristic, which I'll put up a photo so you know what I'm talking about. Most people report being male and the firstborn sibling of their family. Very weirdly, a lot of people share the characteristic of having an NDE, a near experience. And specifically drowning. Equally as weird, a lot of people who went through the program later on in life report being recruited or attempted to be recruited by certain intelligence agencies or other secretive groups. A lot of kids in telepathy. Do you have childhood memories of floating or levitating, specifically floating down the stairs? A lot of people in the program report having lucid dreams or astral projections, which is an out-of-body experience. A huge part of this program experience is having suppressed memories of the experience and having very odd triggers to it. By just seeing a picture or hearing a phrase, things will flood back to you. Do you have a forehead scar? Do you have migraines? Has your experience with law enforcement been predominantly, do you have migraines? Has your experience with you? Do you have a forehead scar? Do you have migraines? Has your experience with law enforcement been predominantly lenient? Have you ever had premonitions or predictive dreams? You have a dream and in a day or two, those events actually take place in real life. Have you ever been contacted or recruited by the Mensa organization, which is specifically for people with high IQs? This is a very weird one for me because I specifically remember getting a letter from them, and that was one of the first letters ever addressed to me as a little kid, which apparently is not a regular occurrence. As a kid, I thought that everyone got letters from Mensa and that they were just trying to hit people up for money for some sort of membership fee. But document, do you have heightened self-awareness accompanied by feeling of being different? Do you have the RH negative blood type? And finally, do you have the experience of hearing changes, have the RH negative blood type? And finally, do you have the experience of hearing changes in frequency or weird high-pitched or staticky sounds? I put together a little timeline of things that I feel are very relevant to this program. So we're going to go through it decade by decade just to kind of walk you through the conclusions that I have drawn about this very weird GATE program. Starting all the way back in the 1940s after World War II, we have something called Operation Paperclip, which you might already be familiar with. This is when the US imported German scientists and researchers, some of whom were experts in behavioral and psychological experiments. Skipping ahead to the 1950s is when MK Ultra was established, which might be another term that you are familiar with. This was the CIA's exploration of mind control, hypnosis, sensory isolation incident, which is when the Soviet Union were the first people to launch a satellite into Earth's orbit. After this incident, the National Defense Education Act was created, which links education to national defense, funding programs to identify gifted children. Moving into the 1960s, we have something called Project Talent. Now, this was led by a psychologist named John C. Flanagan. During World War II, he was an aviation children. Moving into the 1960s, we have something called Project Talent. Now, this was led by a psychologist named John C. Flanagan. During World War II, he was an aviation psychologist who developed the critical incident technique, which was initially used for selecting fighter pilots. Flanagan applied similar methods to assess cognitive, social, and psychological traits in students. He surveyed 444,000 students using psychometric and psychological profiling, which echoes MK Ultra methods. This is purely speculative, but Project Talent may have been used as a sort of feeder program to find kids who would have been very useful in intelligence and defense roles within the government. Moving into the 1970s, we have something called Project Stargate. This was in response to Soviet Union rumors that they were investigating ESP, so the CIA and the Army developed their own project, through which they also explored psychic phenomenon like remote viewing for intelligence applications. Right around this time was when the GATE program was in full effect, conducting memory and sensory tests resembling psychic screening. In the 1980s, we got the Jacob Javits Act, which expanded resembling psychic screening. In the 1980s, we got the Jacob Javits Act, which expanded gifted programs, potentially aligning further with intelligence agendas. Also at this time, the NSA and DARPA integrate STEM-focused curricula for gifted students, creating pipelines for cybersecurity and defense. Which brings us to now, where we have declassified documents on MK Ultra, Project Stargate, and things like it, which suggest gifted programs may have covertly screened children for intelligence and defense capabilities. Now, I'm not suggesting that every single kid who went through the GATE program is some CIA sleeper agent, but it should make you stop and wonder whether or not the US government created these programs for gifted children out of the kindness of their own heart. And that, coupled with the extreme memory loss that we find in kids who went through these programs, is very concerning. I have a few weird things to share with you, and they're going to go from crazy to crazier, and I admit that this might be just an admission of my own insanity, but I am really hoping that there are a few people out there who can relate to what I am about to say. Both of these things are directly related to something called the Gateway Tapes, which officially has nothing to do with the GATE program. If you don't know, the Gateway Tapes is a series of audio tapes that you listen to in a weird hypnotic meditation style that is designed to teach you how to lucid dream, how to astral project, and have out-of-body experiences. There are a lot of people out there who suspect that the GATE program that we went through as children was designed to find kids who were predisposed to this ability to have out-of-body experiences and somehow harness it. While I was in this program as a kid, I started developing horrible nightmares and really a fear of falling asleep in general. And one of the biggest reasons why I was so scared to fall asleep is I would start to hear voices. It sounded like distant, far-off mumbling of a group of men, almost like I was in some sort of laboratory setting and they were talking about me, and sometimes it felt like they were upset with me and angry. And this terrified me as a child. Now, this memory was completely locked away. I didn't consciously have knowledge of it for most of my adult life until I started using the gateway tapes. And through this series of hypnosis tapes, I started getting right up against the edge of this point where you would leave your body and astral project, and I started hearing those mumbling voices again. And then all of that came rushing back to me, and it freaked me out a little bit. And honestly, I didn't touch the tapes for a long time after that. Now, the second and even crazier thing having to do with the gate program as a kid and these gateway tapes is what a lot of people were reporting on with this testing on these abilities to be able to loosely associate things and to psychically predict. Like some people talked about having to do these cards and kind of predict what the card would be, the next card, or what's in the box. A lot of different testing was done on us as kids to determine if we had this sixth sense ability. Flash forward to my adult life, and I'm using these gateway tapes to try and have an out-of-body experience without having any conscious memory of the gate program or anything that I went through as a child. At this point in time, I am pretty far along in using these gateway tapes, and I am trying to access one of the higher levels of consciousness that they outline in this program. During this experience, I am immediately taken out of my body and abducted onto an alien ship. And I know that this all sounds crazy crazy, and people are going to write me off almost immediately. And to be fair, I probably would do the same thing if I was listening to this story. I was taken aboard this alien spaceship where I saw what I can only describe as gray aliens, the traditional ones that you see in Hollywood movies. And they were administration tests, and I saw on this big, literally cannot describe to you in human language, but the and then one or two human pictures. So it would be all these weird things that I don't know what they are. Somehow by staring at this screen, determine which ones matched. And I don't know if this is a cow or a boat. And then I would have to somehow by staring at this screen, determine which ones matched. And the whole purpose of the test was to have this, all of these images, these alien images that I literally cannot describe to you in human language, but the whole purpose of the test was to have this collage of alien pictures and then one or two human pictures. So it would be all these weird things that I don't know what they are, and then a picture of a cow or a boat, and then I would have to somehow by staring at this screen determine which ones matched. And I don't know if this is important whatsoever, but the reason why this whole experience stuck out so vividly in my mind is that the screen that I was taking this test on aboard some UFO type thing was framed in this shiny red plastic, and it reminded me of an Etch-a-Sketch, as it was designed like that to put me at ease and to give me some sort of found me in it, let me know that I was somehow me. I know that this all sounds absolutely insane, and frankly, I agree with you, but it is way too weird and coincidental to not share with you guys in the hopes that someone else knows what the hell I'm talking about. I feel like at this point I have to tell you exactly what my opinions are about what GATE program actually is. You already know that there is a strong link between these education programs and government programs, namely the CIA. I am of the opinion, for entertainment purposes only, that these programs were designed to find and funnel children that the government thought that they could use in various roles. Although there's a ton of overlap with all of your experiences, one of the reasons why I think that we have a lot of variation in what we went through as children is because there is a lot of variation in what the government may want to use very smart or gifted children in the future. I think that they put us in very specialized classes designed to test us on these abilities and also foster them in us. One of the biggest themes with these GATE programs that is impossible for me to overlook at this point is their fascination with potential psychic abilities and this constant testing of ESP and ability to predict things and see things in a box without looking at it first. Based on everything I've read and all the things that I've heard from you people, I believe that some of the crazier things that the GATE program was designed to do was to find children and harness their ability to do things like remote view, astral project, and sometimes even communicate with non-human intelligence. I think that some people were using children as a sort of medium to communicate with these aliens or demons or whatever you want to call it. I don't really care about the verbiage anymore, but I feel like there was something to this aspect of children before puberty being open up to these higher dimensions and to these more outlandish ways of thinking. And I know that this sounds insane and that I've completely lost my mind, but there are so many unclassified documents.
Five, Gateway and Hemisync. Neurobiology confirm what's written within those pages is nothing short of outstanding. It explains consciousness in a profound and analytical way and merges knowledge from mystics from Hindu, Buddhist, and Tibetan cultures to contemporary scientific knowledge of Planck distance, Einstein's theory of relativity, and the works of Niels Bohr. The cosmic spiral in Taurus is everything.
one of the most difficult types is the intuitive introvert. The intuitive extrovert, you find them all hunters, bankers, gamblers. Yes. But the introvert, he has intuitions as to the subjective factor, namely the inner world. Very difficult to understand. Because what he sees are most uncommon things. He doesn't like to talk of them. If he's not a fool, because he would spoil his own game by telling what he sees, because people won't understand it. When the introverted intuitive would speak what he really perceives, then practically nobody would understand it. He would be misunderstood. And so they learn to keep things to themselves. And you hardly ever hear them talking of these things. That is a great disadvantage. But it is an enormous advantage in another way, in human relations. For instance, they come into the presence of somebody they don't know. And suddenly they have inner images. And those inner images give them a more or less complete information about the psychology of the partner. You know, that is, but in the case can also happen that they come into the presence of somebody who they don't know at all, not from Adam. And they know an important piece out of the biography of that person. Yes. And are not aware of it. And tell the story. Yes. And then the fat is in the fire. The introverted intuitive has, in a way, a very difficult life, although one of the most interesting lives. Yes. One of the most interesting lives. Yes. Life, although one of the most interesting lives. Yes.
Imagine you walk into a room at your workplace and suddenly feel that something is not right. There is tension in the air and the atmosphere feels heavy. Although no one has spoken a word and everyone has a friendly expression on their face, you realize that the environment is tense. Without any concrete evidence, your intuition allows you to have insights that others overlook. In a similar way, have you ever felt like there's an inner world inside you that's as rich and complex as the outer one? A world where intuition, symbols, and insights seem to hold more truth than logic or facts. If so, you may be an intuitive
that others ignore and assemble. Some people see the world in a way that's different from most. They pick up on invisible patterns, feel the energy around them, and understand intentions even before they're expressed. If you've ever felt disconnected from others because your mind seems to operate on another level, you might be an intuitive introvert, a rare and complex personality. But what does this really mean? Why do these people have such a hard time expressing themselves? Why do they seem to be always one step ahead, yet feel like no one truly understands them? In this video, you'll discover the clear signs that you might be an intuitive introvert and, more importantly, how to turn this ability into a true advantage in your life. Carl Jung described the intuitive introvert as someone deeply connected to the unconscious, capable of perceiving hidden patterns and predicting trends before they manifest in reality. This sensitivity can be a gift, allowing an expanded perception of reality, but it can also be a challenge when the world around seems to be out of sync with this way of seeing things. The intuitive introvert doesn't see the world the way most people do. While others absorb reality in a direct and objective manner, they perceive invisible nuances and catch patterns before they even form. More than just hearing words, they understand the intentions behind them. This heightened sensitivity makes their perceptions vast and difficult to share. Imagine someone who, upon entering a room, feels the tension before any disagreement even occurs, or someone who predicts the outcome of a conversation before anyone mentions the subject. They process everything in deep layers, and often, their mind is light years ahead of the present moment. But this unique perception of the world can become a challenge when it's time to express it. How can you translate into words something that comes as a complete picture, a web of invisible connections to others? Intuition operates in multiple layers, while language follows a linear path. That's why they might hesitate or seem distant in trivial conversations. Their mind has already explored countless possibilities before they've even formulated a response. And when they try to explain, the words seem insufficient. If they receive a confused look or a wow that's far out, they realize that what outside world. And it's precisely this difference that separates them from most people. While others go along with the flow of social interactions effortlessly, the intuitive introvert feels like a foreigner trying to translate a language that has no equivalent in their native tongue. They don't fit easily into everyday conversations because they're more interested in what's beyond the obvious. Their attention isn't just on the spoken word, but on the tone, the look, the intention behind it. However, this sharp perception, which sometimes isolates them, is the same that allows them to see hidden patterns and innovative solutions to problems that no one else has even identified. But there's one detail that makes all the difference. This ability isn't limited to their own inner world. The intuitive introvert has a peculiar way of perceiving people. They don't need many words to understand someone because they pick up on information that goes beyond what is said. Small gestures, subtle changes in tone of voice, word choice, and even silence tell them much more than they do for most people. That's why, often, they know when someone isn't doing well even before the person admits it. Have you ever had someone ask you, "How did you know that?" without you having a concrete explanation? This happens because their mind works associatively, connecting invisible signals to patterns they've already noticed before. And this ability isn't limited to people they know. The intuitive introvert can have an accurate impression of someone they've never seen before. They notice small details in posture, the way someone looks, or even the way the person moved. Have you ever felt an inexplicable distrust about someone, only to later find out they really weren't trustworthy? Or the opposite, feel an instant connection with no apparent reason? This isn't magic, it's heightened perception. Their brain picks up on information that others ignore and assembles an invisible puzzle in a matter of seconds. But this ability can be a burden. They sense when a friendship isn't genuine, when someone is pretending to be calm, or when a smile doesn't match the eyes. Their sensitivity makes them selective because they can't ignore when something is out of tune. However, this very perception is a gift, allowing deeper connections with the right people. And when they find someone who truly resonates with their way of seeing the world, that connection can be rare and transformative. There are places that seem to suffocate, even without an apparent reason. The intuitive introvert feels this deeply. Before any words are spoken, their body has already reacted to the environment. They walk into a room and sense the tension in the air, as if an out-of-tune song is playing in the background. Sometimes they don't need to see a conflict to know it's happened. The dense energy gives it away. Likewise, there are spaces that bring immediate relief, as if harmony is embedded in the walls. This explains why they avoid certain places without a logical explanation. Their intuition works like a radar, reading invisible signals that others don't even notice. And this sensitivity is not limited to physical spaces. The mood of others intensely affects their emotional state. If someone nearby is distressed, they might feel a weight on their chest, even without knowing the reason. Sometimes, just being near an anxious person makes their mind restless. They notice the slightest changes in a group's energy, a shift in tone, or a look that lingers a bit too long. This allows them to predict bad vibes before any discussion even takes place. That's why they tend to observe the environment before engaging, not out of shyness, but because they need to understand the terrain before stepping in. The problem is that this intense perception can be draining. Noisy, overstimulating environments quickly deplete their energy. Malls, crowded parties, or noisy meetings leave them mentally saturated, as their brain processes everything without a break. This is why isolation isn't a luxury, but a necessity, an essential moment to reorganize their mind after absorbing so much from the external world. Inside the mind of an intuitive introvert, there's a whole universe. While most people focus on what's right in front of them, they dive into images, symbols, and ideas that come without warning. A A simple object can spark unexpected associations, leading them to connect concepts that, at first glance, have no relation. This is why they often get lost in daydreams, exploring internal scenarios so complex that they seem real. Their mind isn't a flow of linear thoughts, but a deep ocean where every wave
Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, is a neuropeptide that plays a role in a wide range of important nervous system processes, including the growth and survival of neurons and the formation and strengthening of synaptic connections. BDNF's involvement in synaptic plasticity suggests that it's also a critical component of learning and memory. BDNF is part of a family of proteins called neurotrophins, which in general contribute to the development, survival, family of proteins called neurotrophins, which in general contribute. BDNF is part of a family of proteins called neurotrophins, which in general contribute to the development, survival, and function of neurons. BDNF is produced throughout the brain, but is found in its highest amounts in the hippocampus and cerebral cortex. It is formed from a precursor called pro-BDNF, which is then cleaved into the mature form of BDNF. BDNF binds to a receptor called the tropomyosin receptor kinase B, or TrkB receptor. Evidence suggests that the precursor form, pro-BDNF, may also be released and bind to another receptor called the P75 receptor. In doing so, pro-BDNF may have somewhat opposite effects from mature BDNF, weakening synaptic connections and even promoting apoptosis, or regulated cell death. BDNF signaling is thought to be involved in the mechanisms of drugs used to treat several psychiatric disorders, including depression, bipolar disorder, and OCD. For example, the effects of both traditional antidepressant treatments like SSRIs and new depression treatments like ketamine seem to involve BDNF signaling. Nevertheless, drugs designed specifically for bipolar disorder and OCD. BDNF signaling is thought to be involved in the mechanisms of drugs used to treat several psychiatric disorders, including depression, bipolar disorder, and OCD. For example, the effects of both traditional antidepressant treatments like SSRIs and new depression treatments like ketamine seem to involve BDNF signaling. Nevertheless, drugs designed specifically to increase BDNF signaling have thus far not consistently been found to be therapeutically effective. Part of the reason for this may be that BDNF's effects vary depending on the timing of its release and the site of its action. So artificially increasing BDNF activity on a widespread scale may not lead to the expected or desired results.
Aliens paying us a visit from another star system? What's up with that? Let's go back a few thousand years. Consider that people tried to understand the world around them. And in so doing, every time they got to aliens paying us a visit from another star system? What's up with that? One of the greatest works of science ever is Principia Mathematica. In there, Newton unleashes the 3 laws of motion, the laws of gravity. He figures out how the solar system works. He's figuring out, how do these planets sustain their orbits? Are they pulling on each other, and in what way and how? He figures all this out. But wait a minute. Every time Earth goes around the backside between the sun and Jupiter, Jupiter's going to tug on it a little bit. Comes back around again, Jupiter tugs on it again. Jupiter has a strong gravity. What's going to ultimately happen to Earth's orbit? In this scenario, Earth's orbit will become more and more elongated. The gravitational tug of war between the sun and Jupiter will yank Earth out of its orbit, destabilizing the solar system. Not only Earth, the other planets as well. He said, oh my gosh, this will take time, but clearly the solar system is stable. So he writes, can't understand why it's stable, because I know my equations work. So God must step in every now and then to fix things. Now you gotta be badass to invoke God at the limits of your knowledge when you explain so much with the equations you wrote. That, by Newton, was a God of the gaps invocation. He brought in God when there was something about the natural world could not explain and did not know. Notice Newton did not invoke God to explain the force of attraction between Earth and the moon. He nailed that. He wrote down that equation. That was working. He didn't invoke God when he talked about his 3 laws of motion. Force equals mass times acceleration. That works. We still use it today. He only invoked God at the limits of his knowledge. So let's fast forward to the second half of the 20th century on into the 21st century. What happens? Well, we have Hollywood. Nothing better than a good sci-fi movie with aliens in it. And aliens, they're aliens, so they got better technology than us, better spaceships. They do stuff we can't do.
There is nobody on the planet who's drawn more than me. Nobody. That's all I've done. I haven't cooked. I haven't made children. I've just drawn. That's all I can do. That's all I do.
The very act of making drawings like this consumes an amazing amount of time. What we're witnessing here, she has pulled from her imagination, and that is highly unusual.
What she's dealing with is what everybody has inside them in one form or another. And probably most people have. Are frightened to recognize it. We put it down in the basement and keep the trapdoors shut.
I've been drawing now for over 50 years. I'm isolated. I'm in my head. I'm in this piece of paper. And what goes on between me and the paper, everything comes into play, my entire life. My father gave me rapidograph pens when I was about 9 or 10, and I used to take my little book isolated. I'm in my head. I'm in this piece of paper. And what goes on between me and the paper, everything comes between me and the paper. Everything comes into play. My entire life. My entire life. My father gave me rapidograph pens when I was about 9 or 10. And I used to take my little book into school with me and just draw phallic things going on. My father gave me rapidograph pens when I was about 9 or 10. And I used to take my little book into school with me and just draw phallic things going on. Very weird. There's a very hurt child in all of my work. Very alone, very confused, and out of it. And she is still in me. She is very much in me.
Good morning. Here's the news. Civil Defense Headquarters announced today that the sharp increase in the number of cases of illness during the last few days have led authorities to suspect that a biological warfare attack may have taken place. As yet, the cause of this outbreak has not been identified.
Black and white.
Good morning. Here's the news. Civil Defense Headquarters announced today that the sharp increase in the number of cases of illness during the last few days have led authorities to suspect that a biological warfare attack may have taken place. As yet, authorities at the sharp morning. Here- Good morning. Here's the news. Civil Defense Headquarters announced today that the sharp increase in the number of cases of illness during the last few days have led authorities to suspect that a biological warfare attack may have taken place. As yet, the cause of this outbreak has not been identified.
Black and white is the color of ghosts. It's the color of old television shows. It's the color of memories, old family photographs. It's the color of past and longing. It's almost the color of thought.
I don't think I've ever seen another piece of art that affected me in such a way. When I saw Love Bite, I felt a stirring inside of me. I felt like I found like a connection. So I felt connected, you know. I felt a need to get to know her, like a kindred spirit or something. You know, I felt like somebody understood me too. You know, it was extraordinary. This is Love Bite by Lori Lipton. And the reason it's not hung is that this is my office, and often when important clients come in, we have to hide it. We actually have to hide it. There's some people come by and they look at it and they feel frightened, and other people come by and they think it's amazing. It's not 50-50. It's probably something more like 90-10. We've had people come in here that are terrified of the work. Terrified, which is great, right? Because it's fucking art, okay?
I had put on our bingo board that Cobra would make national news or Netflix, and I think he did. I don't know what all outlets covered. This is a fitting little shelf here. My God, like wow. Saw someone who knew Cobes in another chat said he threw most of Null's gift box away except for the chips. So he did not ingest the seeds. Right, but the thing is that there was a lot of attention paid to those particular chips. But again, we're not going to get into that shit. Not until we have something like, a district attorney who's going to come out and say, hey, here's what happened. We don't know that that's what did it. And so we're not going to give credit to somebody where the credit has not been done to yet. So you're not in trouble or anything. You are not in trouble, but because she doesn't deserve attention. You know what I'm saying, Tubes? Yeah. It's sus, but So I had put on our bingo board that Cobra would make national news or Netflix. And I think he did. I don't know what all outlets covered it. I don't know if he made TMZ. I haven't looked into it. Mostly the articles that I found were like, I don't know. Apparently Cobra was huge in Bollywood. I don't know. There were all these Bollywood articles about him, and I'm like, what the fuck? But it wasn't like personal stuff. It was clearly they're just mining a story. Oh, a fucking internet dead guy. We'll get a bunch of clicks for it. They were just like, oh, and he died of a heart attack. And it's like, you don't even know it. You don't even know any of this. You know what I'm saying, Tubes? You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know if this counts as, national news. But this is a major Wyoming newspaper called the Cowboy State Daily. So let's read about how the normies have descended upon him. I haven't read this myself. I saw a couple of little clips here and there. Saw some things that people mentioned, and so far it looks good. But it is a normie article, so let's see what the internet, has done to this poor newspaper. How a bullied Casper kid went viral as the internet's gothic king cobra. He invented a religion, was relentlessly bullied, and died too young at 34 last month. To know Josh Saunders, YouTube's viral gothic king cobra, is to scroll through a troubled existence documented in video after video, which have been viewed more than 20 million times. Cobra's channel has 20 million viewers, or 20 million views. How old is his channel? It's not the original one, but this one goes back pretty far, right? Like 2015 or something. My God. Well, anyway, so David Madsen wrote this on September 13th, and this guy, let's just take a quick little peeky. He's an award-winning journalist and documentary producer based in Bozeman, Montana. He is also reported for Wyoming PBS. This is just Clint in a like a skin suit, right? That's Clint, right? Guys, is that Clint? Is that Clint with like stubble? He studied journalism at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Oh, God. Wait, Chapel Hill. Okay, this is probably not a Christian college. I think. Then again, I don't know. Worked at news outlets throughout Wyoming. Like Danny Brown covering his death makes sense. Danny Brown, didn't he even talk to Danny Brown or something? I know they had like a friendly-ish relation. Internet star Joshua Saunders is dead. Okay. Looks like he's in a thick flannel covering his nipples. Is that why we couldn't exactly recognize him right away? Because he didn't have his nipples out? Alright, well. Sorry, Clint. Sorry, God. So here's our boy in all his glory. That's what's up.
Man, they're gonna get a better picture.
The black hair dye was supposed to be permanent, but Josh Saunders didn't seem particularly bothered when it started washing out in blotchy streaks across his face and neck. In his famous 2013 YouTube video, the self-proclaimed gothic bad boy cheerfully narrated his disastrous attempt at home hair coloring, even though as the dye stained his skin an alarming shade of blue. I look like shit, he laughed, examining himself in the mirror. But you know what? It could be worse. That's true. That's true. He's right about that. That resilient humor in the face of chaos would become the hallmark of Joshua Faye Saunders, better known to his global audience as King Cobra JFS. Cobes can see this, boo, and he appreciates it. Look at the picture they got him. That is an amazing picture. Okay, that's good. This guy, he may be a normie, but I think he understood it.
Yeah.
He understood the assignment. For more than a decade, Josh shared his unfiltered life with the world through his YouTube channel, building a devoted fan base drawn to his radical authenticity. Much of what was spent eating, drinking on camera, sometimes wearing a shirt and other times not. All right. He died of a heart attack on August 21st, at the age of 34. And the world he created online is struggling to make sense of it all. And then they show this picture. Oh, here, let's oh, that's all. Those are awesome. Are these exhumed? Whose design is that, I wonder? Oh, oh, my man. Oh. Josh's online presence was larger than many realized. Though his channel has more than 125,000 YouTube subscribers. Damn, he gained 10,000 since he died?
Mm-hmm.
Better not die and gain a bunch of subs, boy. His father, Clint Saunders, said a documentary filmmaker told him Josh's reach extended into the millions daily. Josh shared his world unapologetically every day on YouTube, said Clint, adding he was unafraid of looking pathetic sometimes in the process. Pathetic is not the word I would have used there, Clint, but okay. No, it's fine. In his posts, he talked about magic, music, and strange drink combinations like Cobra's Mist, mixing Mountain Dew and Blue Moon beer. There was a Cobra's Blood, mixing red wine and Monster. His unique charisma and welcoming sense of humor drew in fans who felt like they were hanging out with their eccentric friend. When critics and trolls pointed out Josh's flaws, he didn't budge, unwilling to let the bullies change his shtick, which made them troll Josh more. In a Facebook tribute to his son, Clint said, "I have never met another person with the bravery to be so vulnerable, and I probably never will." I don't know if it's bravery or if it's just maybe not having as much self-awareness, right? I mean, some of it's bravery, but I don't know. Perhaps to his fans, Josh's unwavering online presence and ability to laugh at himself was the appeal. People share his stuff so much, there's a huge TikTok following that wasn't even him. Clint explained in an interview from Ireland. Motherfucker went to Ireland anyway. I guess you're not getting to the
Wow, that's fucked up.
And I guess he's dead and there's nothing you can do about it now. So, shit, this is probably the one time that he's in Ireland that, you know, he probably isn't worried about what's going on back at home. I do hope that he puts some ashes over at, like, Big Ben or some shit, you know? I hope he does. But anyways. Clint explained in an interview from Ireland where he was teaching a study abroad course that was fans. Somebody set that up. They take his stuff and make TikToks. No, Clint, somebody is ripping off your son's content and making money from it. Now, that's a big difference between like what any of us do, covering you know, the archival channels and shit like that. They're making a lot of money over there on that TikTok on your son's videos. Clint, I know you have lawyers. I don't like TikTok. Clint, I command you, Clint, to take down the TikTok, okay? I'm using your own wand against you, okay? This is a Clint Craft wand that you made with your son. H Christ. Not to boss you around or anything, but also get on that. But Josh's internet fame came with a high cost. Damn, sure did. He was always in the negative. One that reminded him of the tough time he had in elementary school. From childhood, he had been what Clint called a magnet for bullying, but online, The harassment reached extreme levels. There was an entire subreddit page dedicated to harassing him. They weren't harassing him. When they finally took it down, there were 44,000 followers on that page. Can you imagine? 44,000 people dedicated to harassing you every single day. No, that's not what it was, and it never will be that. There are assholes doing that, not on the Reddits, okay? And most of the communities that are run on sites that have, like, terms of service, you know, you gotta be careful about what you're doing. And you can't be planning shit like that. A lot of fucking sites have, like, rules against predating and shit. So, like, that's the fact that Clint still doesn't fucking understand that do you know how much art we will never get back of his son because he fucking got that page taken down? Yes, people harass Cobes, but that wasn't where it was coming from necessarily. But anyways, Clint, I fucking command you. I command you to understand that we fucking liked him and that we shared art because he's an inspiration. All right, I'm holding you at your own wand. Okay, I'm not holding your wand. This is my wand that you made with your son, and it's mine. And I tell you, sue the shit out of TikTok, Clint Allen, and also shut the
Alexa,
fuck up
set
about
my
this
alarm for
subreddit
8 a.m.
full of a bunch of fucking bullies. I'll bully you. All right, that's right. From childhood, he had been what Clint called a magnet for bullying, but online the harassment reached.
You ready to go night night?
Okay, so that's the 44,000. Can you believe that? No, because it's not true, Clinton.
What you doing, Dutch?
The harassment wasn't limited to cruel comments.
Alexa, turn all my lights
Clint
off.
said trolls got Josh fired from a job at Wendy's, evicted from apartment. And it wasn't that he got no.